Welcome to the channel. Welcome to today's run through of all the latest Manchester United news and transfer updates, keeping you right up to date with everything. I'm Jamie. Before getting into it, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and let's jump straight into it. So I checked this out, right? United had led by 2 goals or more at half-time in 3 consecutive Premier League matches at Old Trafford for the first time since November 2008. That's insane, considering that's Fergie, the team that we had at that particular time as well. So the first time we've led by 2 goals or more in 3 consecutive matches at Old Trafford. That coming from the BBC. That's an absolutely insane stat. In my opinion, considering, like I said, the teams we've had since then. Yes, I know obviously recently we've not been performing very well since Fergie retired, and we know the reasons behind it and stuff. But that I felt was insane to me, that's the first time since 2008 that we've won, that we've led at halftime by 2 or more goals since 2008, which just show that, I said in the pre-match video I did the other day that we do need to start making Old Trafford a bit of a fortress again, and hopefully we're on the road to doing that, because it's been an easy place for teams to come and play. And obviously yesterday Brighton have found it easy over the last few years, I think, to come and beat us as well, but not so much yesterday. But yeah, I thought that was an insane stat from yesterday, coming from the BBC, the first time since 2008. Nuts. Another interesting stat was from Statman Dave, saying that Manchester United have picked up 12 points from their last 6 Premier League matches. Only Arsenal and Man City, both 13, have more in that period. Finally, a run of form, so credit's where it's due. We are picking up a little bit of form. We just need to maintain that consistency now. That's what's going to be key, isn't it? Can we stay consistent with it? Because we all know, the problem for United for years has been consistency. We are capable of playing well in games, but then we're capable of not playing well. We just need to see this run of form continue. But I do think there is a bit of a momentum shift as well. It feels like something's happened, or something's changed, or that something's potentially going forward. And we're not going to obviously win every game. We're not in that position yet, so I don't want to get too giddy or ahead of myself or anything like that as well. But it does feel a little bit different to me personally. But get involved in the comments. Let me know how you're feeling after the match yesterday as well. Let's go through some transfer news. So Manchester United have actually signed another player. So Manchester United have finalised the signing of 16-year-old goalkeeper Charlie Hardy from Derby County, with the deal confirmed following the Premier League's ratification process. So we have been linked with this kid for a while. Don't know too much about him. 16-year-old goalkeeper, very highly regarded though. But I trust the recruitment team, the Christopher Vivels and all this, to these sort of age group players. We've seen it with Diego Leon, scored a great goal the other day actually for the 21s. Cheeto, Aiden Heaven got more assists in the Premier League this season than Florian Wirtz after yesterday's substitute appearance. It's an area that we're doing really well in, so I don't have any issues. I don't have any concerns. I'm just going to assume that he's a good player, and one for the future at 16 years old as well. But again, it goes back to what Sir Jim was saying in one of his recent interviews, where he did sort of criticise the reserves and the youth, saying the United have need to do better at it, basically, and the way we can do that is by recruiting these sort of players. So fair play. Another young player coming in to add to the growing list of young players that we are bringing in that are very highly regarded, so I have no issues with that. I trust the club now in that area, because I think that is an area that we are doing really well in. But let me know what you think about that in the comments below, as I'm sure that you will. Now, this was another insane stat, actually, that I saw. So Manchester United have conceded only 3 goals this season with Casemiro on the pitch. Now, I thought Casemiro had one of his best performances for a very, very long time yesterday, up until he got substituted. I thought he was, pressing high, and actually, I couldn't fault him. Got the goal, albeit with a deflection, but I thought he was really good, and he's actually been putting in some decent performances this season, even though I'm critical of him because I just don't think he has the athleticism for what we need. It's not perfect. As we saw against Chelsea, he has moments where his lack of pace gets him in trouble. But fair play, he's doing a job. If we're only conceded 3 goals with him on the pitch, and then when he's not on the pitch, so that does highlight the need, I think, even more so for a midfielder, a more defensive midfielder as well, that can do that shielding job. But yeah, fair play to Casemiro. That was another one of those stats when I was like, really, that seems insane. But he obviously didn't play against City, did he? So that's obviously one of the reasons for that as well. But yeah, give us your thoughts on Casemiro and Casemiro's performance for yesterday as well. Give us your shouts in the comments on that below. Right, let's go through a bit of transfer news. So the Telegraph is saying that Bournemouth rejected £50 million offers from Man United and Tottenham Hotspur for Antoine Semenyo at the start of the summer window, and they fought off bids for three other Premier League players before the end. So that's really interesting as well. It's not the first time we've heard that actually. That Semenyo was there not a story saying that we just couldn't agree personal terms with him because he wanted the same sort of money that Cunha was on. The club didn't want to offer him that sort of money, and then the deal fell through. So I'm not sure if Bournemouth rejected the offer or we spoke to him first. I don't know, but that's interesting, isn't it, to say that we had an offer rejected. I wonder if that would have been before Mbumo. It's saying the start of the transfer window, start of the summer window, so I'm going to assume that it was because Mbumo was a little bit after that, wasn't he, if I remember rightly? What would the plan have been? Would the plan have been Semenyo and not Mbumo and then a striker? Or could it have been Cunha, Semenyo and Mbumo? That would have been an interesting front three and not gone for a striker, played Cunha up front as the sort of nine or false nine, however you describe Cunha up front as well. Would it have been Semenyo at left wing back and then we would have got Sesko anyway? Like that's that's really interesting. And he is a name that we are linked to going forward. I've seen loads of, people online saying, look, Semenyo at left wing back would be brilliant. I agree as well. But I don't know whether we've got the appetite to spend that amount of money because you're going to be talking them more than that now, considering this form so far this season in the Premier League. So if they were rejecting 50, I don't think his price has come down. I think his price has increased. So you're going to be talking, there was a report the other day saying £75 million for Semenyo. And I think that's a lot of money for any team for... He's a quality player, though. He is really good. And I don't think it'll be January neither, but that would be an interesting one. I think we're going to continually get linked with Semenyo, and I think he would be a good shout in the future. But I think a lot of teams are going to be looking at him as well. But yeah, give us your thoughts on that in the comments below. Let's go through some other transfer news. So this I read in the Manchester Evening News saying that regarding Lewandowski. Now, this is a big one and it comes from Spain. I'm going to say it's a big pile of dung, personally, but it's saying Sport have claimed that Manchester United are one of the clubs that have already reached out to Robert Lewandowski and his entourage to discuss a possible move ahead of the expiry of his contract in Spain. The striker's deal at Barcelona expires in the summer. The report claims that Ruben Amorim is a strong admirer of the Polish forward and the ideal mentor to Benjamin Sesko. So according to Sport in Spain, they're suggesting that United have reached out to Robert Lewandowski to discuss him coming to the club when his contract expires next summer. Now, I have my doubts regarding that, but there's been a few other places that have sort of dismissed this story. Rightly so, in my opinion, as well. So this firstly has come out from Dean Jones. Dean Jones, I always think, is quite decent when it comes to United news, where he's saying there have been links between Man United and Robert Lewandowski, but it just seems unthinkable. It does not fit with their philosophy at all. Even if he is on a free transfer, I have even seen suggestions that he could act like a mentor to Sesko, which I think is extreme and probably unnecessary. I am not sure how much money people think Lewandowski currently makes, but he's basically the highest earner at Barcelona. Man United have a strict policy of how they are going to pay players, particularly those who are older players. You need to, yes, you need a balance and you need some experience, but even if Lewandowski was to half his wages, he would be earning more than the majority of the squad. I cannot see them entertaining him as a signing unless he took a very radical pay cut. So Dean Jones suggesting that it's a load of waffle, basically, because we're not going to go anywhere near his sort of wages at Barcelona. He is one of their top earners. There's been another story, actually, which we'll go through in a second. And, I get the idea of us bringing in like an experienced striker, but I this is just my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments regarding this. But because we've been linked with Harry Kane, Lewandowski is another one. Like, I don't think that works personally, because Benjamin Sesko, right, I know he's young and maybe could do with some experience and anything, but what's the point of bringing in someone experienced that's actually going to take his place in the first team? That makes no sense to me. That's regression. So Benjamin Sesko is going to go from being 22, 23 years old, playing regular first team football, to a bench player for 2 years and not playing regular first team football just because we signed and you're expecting him to develop by watching somebody and training with them. That makes very little sense to me. I like the idea of maybe someone like Danny Welbeck, for example, someone that could come in that is an experienced professional that can help and teach Sesko a few things and a few tricks and stuff, but is not expecting to be playing every game neither. In a little bit way, like I'd like to think that Tom Heaton is mentoring Lemons, because Tommy is not expecting to play, but he's an extremely good professional. That's why he got given another contract in the summer, because he's part of the leadership group and is a experienced player behind the scenes, but he's not, taking Lemons' place in the first team, because that makes little sense. In the same way that if you've got a top class like a Harry Kane or Lewandowski, they're going to want to play. And what benefit is that to Sesko? So you bring someone in and he's mentoring him, but you have to watch him on the bench every week. That makes little sense to me. I do think that getting an experience or another striker in, or maybe someone more senior to help, would be ideal, but not of that sort of caliber or quality and cost and wage. Like, it makes very little sense to me, that. But let me know if you agree with that in the comments. Some of you will probably disagree with that, I'm going to suspect. But yeah, it makes little sense to me personally. But the Mirror have also jumped in on the story, saying that Manchester United have restocked their attack this summer with the signings of Benjamin Sesko, Cunha and Mbeumo, but Amorim is also intrigued by the possibility of landing Lewandowski. So in the report, it says that Manchester United co-owner Sir Jim Ratcliffe has put the block on a shock move to sign Robert Lewandowski. The Polish superstar is in the final year of his contract at Barcelona and has not been offered a new one. Goes on to say his departure would spark a mad scramble for his signature. United boss Ruben Amorim is a keen admirer of the veteran striker, and he reckons luring Lewandowski to Old Trafford would have a positive impact on his side and help some of the other players develop. But Ratcliffe has made it clear United will not repeat mistakes of the past when it comes to indulging in signing players coming towards the end of their careers. United have done this with the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo, Varane, Cavani, Schweinsteiger, but all of them proved to be big mistakes, costing United tens of millions in the transfer market and almost as much in wages. And then it goes on to say Lewandowski is earning a staggering £450,000 a week at Barcelona, but Ratcliffe has been desperate to reduce United's own crippling wage bill and does not consider signing Lewandowski as a viable option. So according to the Mirror, maybe there is interest. I mean, maybe, I don't know. I don't know whether I believe these stories or not. I think it's too far out there, too convenient. He's out of contract, linking with Man United to try and get offers and generate interest, and like an agent story. Because again, it all came from Sport in Spain, where these links have come from, and they're not the most credible outlet. But according to the Mirror, they're suggesting that Sir Jim would veto that sort of transfer anyway, because if he's on £540,000 a week, even if he halves that, he's still going to be up there with our highest earner. We're trying to reduce the wage. Like, it makes no sense to me, that deal, in any stretch of the imagination. He's 37 years old as well. Yes, he's a good striker and quality, but not for that sort of price, and in my opinion. But yeah, give us your thoughts and feelings on that in the comments below, as I am sure that you will. So let's move on to the Jobe Bellingham story. So this is coming again from the Mirror, saying truth behind Man United interest in Jobe Bellingham move as transfer alternative emerges. So Man United spent heavily in the summer transfer window, but with boss Ruben Amorim keen to bolster his midfield in January, they're looking to get creative when the transfer window reopens. Jobe Bellingham is on Manchester United's radar as they weigh up a shock January move. I'm not going to go through it all, because it's just highlighting about how he signed for Dortmund and his brother and stuff like that as well. But it says, making matters worse, there are growing tensions off the pitch between Dortmund sporting director Sebastian Kehl and Bellingham's father Mark. The pair clashed on the opening day of the Bundesliga season when Bellingham Sr., a former non-league striker and retired police sergeant, took exception to his son being substituted at halftime by head coach Niko Kovac. The decision infuriated Mark, who waited in the tunnel after the final whistle to confront members of the club's hierarchy. Now, that is a massive red flag for me instantly puts me off us going for Jobe Bellingham personally. If his dad or his agent is waiting in the tunnel to speak to the hierarchy because his son was substituted at halftime in a game, I think we should avoid this player like the plague if that is the case, because that is the exact drama and stuff behind the scenes that we're trying to get rid of, and I don't like it personally. The report goes on to say the scenarios led to speculation about Bellingham's future, and Bild claimed United are keen earlier this month. Now, Mirror Sport confirms that United are keeping close tabs on the situation with a view to a potential loan move in January. It remains to be seen if Bellingham is willing to consider a move elsewhere, or whether he wants to stick it out at Dortmund. And with United boss Ruben Amorim is keen to bolster his midfield options, they are looking for the, I think that's meant to say far and wide, for potential new options with Atletico Madrid's Conor Gallagher also under consideration. So So according to the Mirror, they're suggesting that we are keeping close tabs on Jobe Bellingham's situation, as well as Conor Gallagher. There's been loads of stories over the last few days that I brought you regarding Conor Gallagher, and that is probably one to keep an eye on potentially for January. But Jobe Bellingham on a loan deal in January, according to the Mirror, that could be, it's on the agenda anyway, or it's something they may be looking at. But I'd want to see a bit more credibility than that particular source personally, and the fact that his dad and his agent is waiting in the tunnel at full time, trying to get the hierarchy and kicking off that his son got substituted at halftime as well is a massive red flag for me, and is one that I would avoid personally for that particular reason. But get involved in the comments. Let me know what you think. Jobe Bellingham, good shout, bad shout, even on loan in January. Let me know what you think about that in the comments below. Let me know what you think about all the other topics discussed in today's video, because that's you all up to date with the latest news and transfer updates. And don't forget to smash a like on the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. See you in the next one.